Good afternoon, everybody. It's 12 o'clock. Welcome to the 2020 AFC Summit webinar series, proudly hosted by Nanotech Resource Associates and the statewide AFC Roundtables. The AFC Roundtables meet regionally and virtually to continue the mission of the AFC Summit to learn, share, continue the dialogue between AFC organizations. This webinar series is an adaptation of the annual AFC Summit event, typically held at Holy Cross College. We thank you all for staying connected virtually with us, and stay tuned for further webinar opportunities. Today you'll have two moderators, myself, Deb Schneer, and Carrie Parody, who will assist with Q&A. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties, you can privately chat with either Carrie Parody or myself, and we'll do our best to troubleshoot any difficulties you might be having. A few brief instructions for participants. The webinar is offering CEU contact hours today. We ask that each participant sign in using the chat feature on the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of your screen. Following today's webinar, you'll receive an email with an evaluation. Per those instructions within the email, you can return that evaluation and you'll receive a certificate of contact hours through email. We ask that all participants remain muted throughout the webinar. Please submit any questions that you have to the presenter through the chat feature located at the Zoom toolbar. The presenter will answer Q&A at the end of the session today. Today's webinar is encouraging interaction from attendees. To participate, we ask that you use the hand raise feature, which can be located by selecting the participant icon on the Zoom toolbar. At the bottom of the screen, you can raise your hand and you'll be called on by either the presenter or the moderator to answer your question or engage. Without further delay, we'd like to introduce today's webinar presenter, Janelle Robinson, Wellness Coordinator for Nanotech Resource Associates.
Thank you, Deb. Welcome everyone to our workshop for today. Building Resilience Through Mindfulness, 5 Tools for Staying Centered During Difficult Times. My name is Janelle Robinson, and I'm going to be your guide through our workshop today. Before we start, I just want to make sure that everyone has a pen and paper or something to write with handy, as we are going to be doing some writing exercises. And before I say another word, I like to start all of my workshops taking a few moments to just land here together, since this is a mindfulness workshop. So if everybody could find a comfortable seat, you can either close your eyes or gaze down at the floor in front of you. And just take a deep breath in through your nose. Let it go with a big sigh out your mouth. Good, taking one more breath like that, inhaling through your nose. Open your mouth and sigh your breath out. Just landing here in this moment, letting go of whatever you were doing before you arrived at this webinar, letting go of whatever you have coming next, and just feeling yourself physically land here. Feeling your feet on the floor, feeling yourself sitting on whatever you're sitting on, whether it's a chair or cushion. Feel your hands in your lap. Feel your spine growing tall and the crown of your head reaching towards the ceiling. Just take one more deep breath together, inhaling through your nose. Let it go with a big sigh out your mouth. And gently open your eyes. Well, welcome everybody. I have a teacher that says there's a welcome that we can do before we kind of land here all together, and then the one that we can do after we take that moment of settling in. So welcome again to Building Resilience Through Mindfulness, 5 Tools for Staying Centered During Difficult Times. My name is Janelle Robinson, and I'm really excited to be here with you all today. I have a background in education and human services and a real passion for wellness, and it's kind of become my personal mission to bring mindfulness tools to communities in need. I received my yoga teaching certification from Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health, where I also worked as the coordinator for RISE, Kripalu's evidence-based stress resilience initiative. I've had really the incredible opportunity to share yoga and mindfulness with many children, families, and professionals, and have supported them to incorporate tools for well-being into their daily lives. I currently work as the Marketing and Wellness Coordinator for Nanotech Resource Associates, where I support the Nanotech community by integrating mindful resilience tools and self-care practices into our workplace culture. Currently, in this time of COVID-19, the pandemic that we are all responding to, that's really been showing up in an exciting way. Nanotech, as we were planning for our response to COVID-19, built right into our plan, a wellness plan for our staff, which has included daily wellness breaks that I've been leading and also hosting and having some other members of our community lead. Everything from meditation, movement, yoga, sensory breaks. And we've been doing these every day at 11:30 as a community to really come together, stay connected, and stay centered and grounded. And then we're also exploring ways to open these wellness breaks up to our larger community. So stay tuned for that. And today we're going to be learning about 5 mindfulness practices, many of which have shown up in those wellness breaks that I was referring to: movement, meditation, mindful breathing, journaling, and intention setting. And we're going to explore how to integrate these tools into our daily lives. We're going to have an experience of the 5 tools that I will lead you through. And then we're going to have an opportunity to break down each of these tools, talk about the benefits, and discuss some different ways that these tools can be used. We'll have some time to explore practical and accessible ways that you can use the tools in your daily life. And we will have opportunity for questions. So our moderators will be keeping an eye on the chat for questions. We will have about 10 minutes at the end to go over any questions that you might have. I set aside a nice chunk of time to do that together. But if you do have a question in real time, go ahead and put it in the chat, and I will create some space to get to those as well. So before we get into all of that, I would just want to take a few moments to go over a few definitions so that we're all on the same page when we're talking about these tools. So as I said, the title of today's workshop is Building Resilience Through Mindfulness, 5 Tools for Staying Centered During Difficult Times. It's a bit wordy. And so I want to break down resilience, mindfulness, and staying centered. So we all have the same idea of what I mean when I'm referring to those words and as we're talking about them. So resilience. The American Psychological Association defines resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress, such as family and relationship problems, serious health problems, or workplace and financial stressors. So as you can see, resilience could be very important during this difficult time that we're all navigating together. And another definition of resilience, if we're talking about a substance or an object, is the ability of a substance or an object to spring back into shape, elasticity. I love thinking of the word elasticity as a synonym for resilience. I think it just, it makes it really accessible in a word that's rather hard to grasp, can be kind of hard to grasp and understand what it means. If you think about elasticity, it's the ability to bounce back into shape, to come back together under force or stress or pressure. And what's so amazing about this process of adapting, this elasticity, is that it's actually a skill that can be practiced and developed. So it's not something that you either have or you don't. It's something that you can develop and work on and build, which is what we're going to be doing together today in my favorite way of building this skill, mindfulness. So let's talk a little bit about what mindfulness means. My favorite definition of mindfulness, there are a lot of them, but my favorite is one by Jon Kabat-Zinn. And he describes mindfulness as the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. And the reason that this is one of my favorite definitions is because of that phrase, non-judgmentally. That's going to show up quite a bit in our workshop together today. And the goal of mindfulness is to keep us centered in difficult times, and in turn to build our resilience, this elasticity to come back, bounce back after times of great stress, pressure. So when we talk about staying centered, RISE, the Kripalu program, defines staying centered as the ability to monitor thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and to manage them to match the situation and your intentions. I'm just seeing one request. I'm gonna shift a little bit so that you guys can see me a little bit better, but I'll keep talking while I do this. Let's see if I can do this a little bit better. Great, let me know how that is, Deb.
That looks great, Janelle, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the ability to monitor thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and to manage them to match the situation and your intention. So staying centered, the ability to stay connected to what it is that you intend to do in times of stress. So coming back again and again to your intentions despite the situation. So I just want to pause briefly. Are there any questions about the definitions before we kind of dive into our experience? Or I'm hearing that the light is a little bit better. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me, that we're all good here before we really get going. And you can type any questions right into the chat if you have them.
So we don't have any questions right now, Janelle, but
Perfect.
I'll keep you updated.
Thank you. Okay, so let's dive in. So we're going to have a little bit of an experience of these 5 tools. I'm going to guide you through it, and then we'll be able to break them down and talk about them a little bit more in detail after. So we're going to start with some movement. If you have been sitting for a while now, I invite you to stand up to take this opportunity to get on your feet. You can also do these exercises. They're really gentle exercises that we're going to do together sitting down. I'm going to stay sitting so that you can see me, but please feel free to stand. This will be your opportunity to do that in our session together. So wherever you are, whether you're sitting or standing, feel your feet on the floor. Feel your toes, your heels, your shoes, whatever you're in, connected to the floor. Good. And really grow tall through the crown of your head, lifting the crown of your head towards the ceiling, reaching through your spine. Let's take a deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, big sigh out your mouth. Good, warming up the neck a little here. Drop your head down so you're looking at your feet. And then just roll it over to the side so that your right ear is coming towards your right shoulder. Come back to center, looking down, and then roll over to the left. So just rolling back and forth there for a few rounds. Good. And as you move, just letting this movement be your anchor to the present moment. So noticing any sensations in your body. Notice how the movement feels. Really bring your awareness to this movement. Good, coming back to center, you lift your head, and then roll your shoulders up, back, and down, forward in one direction, getting out any tension. We hold a lot of tension in our shoulders. And switching, moving shoulder rolls towards the front. And again, these can be done sitting or standing, wherever you are. Good. Reach through the crown of your head, let that go. And we're going to do something called sun breath. So this is coordinating breath with movement. So as you inhale, bring your hands down by your sides, turn your palms up to face the ceiling, and inhale your arms all the way up so that your palms are coming together, reaching towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, turn the palms towards the floor, gently lower them down. I'm going to stay with this movement here. Inhaling, lifting all the way up. And exhale, lower down. Sorry. Inhale, and if this feels a little bit much on your shoulders, you can make this movement from the elbows. So inhaling, hands come together, exhaling, hands come down. And start to get curious about this movement as you make it. Again, letting the movement be your anchor to the present moment. So letting it bring you right into the present moment where we all are together. If you feel your mind wandering, just come back to the sensations in your body. Good, one more. And then just start to move at your own pace. So notice if you want to go a little bit slower than I'm guiding, because I'm talking and breathing and moving at the same time. So my breath might be moving a little bit faster for you. So notice what your inhale is and try to take that inhale, the whole length of your inhale to come up, and the whole length of your exhale to bring your arms down. And again, if this is feeling a little bit strenuous on the shoulders, bringing the movement to your elbows, inhaling up and exhaling down. We'll take 3 more deep breaths, just like that. Inhaling, arms lift, palms come together. Exhale, lower all the way down. 2 more, inhale. And exhale. Last one, make it your deepest breath yet. Inhale. And exhale, lower down. Good, letting that go. Finding your comfortable seat again. Good, and taking this opportunity to either close your eyes or gaze gently down at the floor in front of you if closing your eyes isn't comfortable. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the crown of your head rising towards the ceiling. And begin to scan your body from head to toe. Just noticing how your body feels in this moment. Notice any areas that might be calling out for your attention. That might be because they feel really good. Maybe there's an area of your body that's feeling really good. Or maybe there's an area of your body that you can feel tension or stress. No matter what you find, just getting curious without any judgment. Scanning from head to toe, and just noticing. Notice how your body feels after that little bit of movement. Maybe you feel warm. Maybe you're more aware of certain areas of your body since we've been moving them. And then if you're standing, you can come back to sitting. And again, just scanning from head to toe, just noticing whatever you find, letting the sensations in your body bring you into this present moment. So if you feel your mind start to wander, just coming back to that scanning from head to toe and noticing the sensations. Staying with your body just for a few more breaths. If you find that you are judging what you find as you scan your body, can you just shift that judgment into self-compassion? So speaking to yourself as a best friend would, rather than in that voice of your inner critic. Deep inhale through your nose. And go with a big sigh out your mouth. Now bringing your awareness to your mind. Noticing the quality of your thoughts. You might find that you're feeling focused or maybe distracted. Your thoughts might be moving quickly from one thing to the next. Or maybe they're slow and sluggish. Whatever you find here, as you just let your awareness rest on your mind, again, can you hold it without judgment? Some kindness for yourself. And know that whatever thoughts are coming into your mind in this moment, you don't need to react to them. You can just watch them come into your mind's eye and then float by. Just taking a few more moments to notice and check in with your mind today, in this moment. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Let it go with a sigh out your mouth. And then bring your awareness to your breath. Just notice your breath in this moment. We're not going to fix, change, do anything with the breath except let our awareness rest there. So breathing in, know that you are breathing in. Breathing out, know that you are breathing out. Letting your breath be your anchor to this moment. So if you feel your mind wander, coming back to your inhale and your exhale. Notice where in your body you're feeling your breath. You might feel it down in your belly. You might feel your chest rise and fall. Or maybe you feel it at the tip of your nose. Maybe this is the first time today that you've been aware that you're breathing. Just staying here for a few more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. One more deep breath in through your nose. Big sigh out your mouth. And then shifting your awareness to your heart, to your emotions. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And notice if an answer comes up, maybe in a word or a sentence or even an image. And however you're feeling in this moment, holding that without judgment, with kindness and compassion for whatever feelings you may be having. Maybe this is the first time today, or even in a while, that you've actually taken the time to ask yourself how you're feeling and really waited for that answer to come up. So just giving yourself the space to sit with whatever it is that you're feeling for a few moments. And if you start to hear that voice of judgment, can you just come back to that voice of compassion? Deep inhale through your nose. Big sigh out your mouth. And staying in that place, ask yourself, what do I need today? Take a few moments to feel your answer. Notice if it comes from your mind, or maybe that answer is coming up from your body or from your heart. And then taking that a step further, I invite you to set an intention based on what it is that you need today. So rather than something you want to achieve or cross off your list, our long to-do lists that we have, try to make your intention align with how you want to feel rather than something that you want to do or accomplish. This could be just one word, such as peace, calm, presence, strength. And again, just see if you can allow that word to rise up from within. Based on how you're feeling, what you need, and what you want to feel more of today. Deep inhale through your nose. Exhale out your mouth with a big sigh. Gently open your eyes and reach for your pen and paper or whatever you have that you're going to write with today. And go ahead and write your word at the top of your page. So if your word was peace, just writing peace nice and big, or calm or energy, whatever that was, writing it at the top of your page. And we're going to have a few moments to journal here. And I invite you to just look at that word and write freely about your intention. You could write about why you chose this intention for today. You can write about how you can support yourself to cultivate more of this feeling in your life. Or you might even find as you're writing that the subject changes as you write and you find yourself writing and thinking about other topics. That's okay. Just give yourself the space and permission to take a few moments here to just journal about whatever is coming up for you as you write that word at the top of your page. So I'll just give you a few moments to do that journaling exercise here. Allowing this to be your mindfulness exercise. So if you feel yourself getting kind of pulled out of your journaling, either by a sound that you hear or by some other distraction, just coming back to writing. Just knowing that there's no right or wrong way to do this exercise. And finishing up whatever sentence you're working on, knowing that you can come back to this writing at any point, either later today or after we finish up this workshop. And take one more deep inhale through your nose. Big sigh out your mouth. Great. Welcome back. So we're going to take some time to break down what we just did. So I pulled up, I'm hoping you can see it, a little image here of the 5 tools that we just experienced all together. Movement, meditation, mindful breathing, intention setting, and journaling. And at the center of this star, so 5-pointed star, it's an easy way to remember the 5 tools, is resilience, that tool, that skill, rather, that we're all working on cultivating together. And what's really great about these tools is that they can be woven together in kind of a practice as we just did, moving through each of the tools. You can see they fit really nicely together, or they can be pieced apart, done one at a time, or kind of stand on their own. So I just invite you, as we break down each of these tools, to notice which ones catch your interest or your attention, because we'll be coming back to that later on. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I can share this image again later. And you'll be getting a handout later today that has this image on it, and also has some directions to really easy ways to do each of these tools, similar to what we just did together. Great. So the first tool, movement, mindful movement. So we did some mindful movement together in the beginning of our experience. We did a few movements, but the one that I really want to focus on and talk a little bit about were the sun breaths. So that was when we started. We had our arms relaxed by our sides. We inhaled our arms up and exhaled them down. Really simple movement. Again, there's the accessible modification, just moving from the elbows if you have any soreness or injury to your shoulders. And the key to this movement is that you're coordinating your breath with the arms. So it's a great way to not only move your body, to drop into that place of awareness of your body, of sensations in your body, but to also coordinate movement with your breath. So those were our sun breaths. That will, a little guide to that will be on the handout that you'll be getting later today. So mindful movement, that little practice that we did, there are huge benefits to moving mindfully. Coming back to our definition of mindfulness that we're working with today, the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. So we can do that with movement, which is so great. And it allows us to take us out of our heads and into our bodies. And you can use movement to be your anchor to the present moment. I heard a really great quote recently that's it's stayed with me quite a bit through this time. And it says, "We do not move our bodies to change or fix them. We move them to feel alive." So I'm going to say that one more time. We do not move our bodies to change or fix them. We move them to feel alive. And to me, this really describes the difference between exercise and mindful movement, because it incorporates that piece of not judging yourself, that non-judgmental piece of our mindfulness definition. So with exercise and fitness, we often have the ultimate goal to change our body, to lose weight, to fix something that we see as wrong with our bodies. Where with mindful movement, our intention is to be in the present moment, to be in our bodies, to be non-judgmental towards ourselves and our bodies. And mindful movement is not only a mindfulness practice, but it also has the benefits that come with moving with your body. So as we all know, our lives are generally very sedentary, especially if you're working at a computer. And mindfulness through movement not only cultivates the amazing benefits that come from a mindfulness practice, such as reduced anxiety, reduced depression and stress, but also have the benefits of physical movement. So depending on the form of mindful movement that you do, improving cardiovascular health, bone density, balance, strength, lymphatic system, digestive and immune systems can all be benefited. And then it can even help improve your sleep. Yes, Carrie, do you want the, quote added to the chat? I can add that.
The quote, I was going to add it. I just didn't.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to repeat it one more time. So it's, we move our bodies not to fix or change them. We move them to feel alive. Great. Yeah, that's a really good one I've been coming back to a lot. So there's some really easy, great ways to incorporate mindful movement into your life. Even just thinking about just what we did, those really simple sun breaths, that mindful movement, using mindfulness to anchor you to the present moment. You could do those breaths, those sun breaths in the morning. You could do them before a meeting when you maybe need some energy or you want to really ground into the present moment. So making sure that you're showing up to whatever it is that you're showing up for, feeling really present. You can do those breaths, that mindful movement, those sun breaths when you're feeling stressed, to bring you back into the present moment and to use your body as an anchor into the present moment. Or even if you've just been sitting for a long period of time, you can stand up, do those sun breaths, and really, bring some movement into your day while also practicing mindfulness. Some other ways to move include qigong, running, yoga, swimming, walking, weightlifting. And again, mindful movement is about the intent that you bring to your movements. So if you already have an exercise routine, you can bring mindfulness right into the exercise routine that you already have. So for example, if you're an avid runner, you might already be doing this and not even realizing it, but allowing yourself to use running to bring you into the present moment, feeling your feet as they hit the ground, listening to your breath, feeling your breath, even hearing the sound of your feet as they kind of hit the pavement, noticing the sights and sounds around you. So approaching the exercise that you already have in place with mindfulness. Similarly, if you're a weightlifter, if you like to lift weights, really bringing your attention to, if you're doing bicep curls, for example, bringing all your attention to the muscles that you're working, to your breath as you're doing those reps. You can turn your exercise routine that you already have into a mindfulness practice, using, again, the sensations in your body to bring you into the present moment. And if you don't have an exercise practice, or you really liked those sun breaths, it's a perfect way to practice mindful movement, and you can incorporate them right into your day really, really easily and accessibly. So the second tool that we experienced together today was meditation. And there's a lot of different ways to meditate. One of my favorites, one that if you are from Nantucket and you've been coming to my wellness breaks, you've become very familiar with at this point, and that's the one that we did today, is the daily check-in or the mindful check-in. So we sat comfortably, we found a comfortable way to sit, and really all it was is that I guided you through bringing your attention, and you can replicate this for yourself, to your body, your mind, your breath, and your heart. And these short, really accessible directions will be on the handout that you'll be getting today for the daily check-in. And the key again here, that word non-judgmental, is whatever is coming up for you as you're checking in with body, mind, breath, and heart, holding whatever you find non-judgmentally. So this isn't a time to fix or change anything. This is using how we're feeling and this check-in as a time to really be present with ourselves. So this daily check-in is a great way to increase self-awareness. It's easy and quick. You're practicing a mindfulness meditation while also taking a moment to check in with yourself. And I think in this time, in difficult times, and one that we're in right now, taking these precious moments that when we do have them, to check in and ask ourselves how we're doing is so crucial to staying centered and to building resilience. So some scientific benefits of mindfulness meditation are stress reduction. You can boost your memory, increase focus, decrease emotional reactivity, and even increase your immunity, which all are extremely important during this time that we're in right now. The daily check-in, there are some really great ways to incorporate it into your day. So again, it could be something that you do in the morning when you first wake up. First thing, just checking in with yourself, body, mind, breath, heart. How am I doing? Few moments, and then proceeding with your day. During transitions is another really great time to incorporate these tools, this tool of checking in with yourself. And another great time is when you have to make decisions. So if you have an important decision to make, or even a seemingly non-important decision to make, it can be a great practice to get into, to just take a few moments to check in with yourself before you make a decision. So I'm going to use what seems like a silly example, but is actually really important. So if you are deciding what to make for lunch, what to have for lunch, we often make these choices from a really mindless place, or just grab something out of habit or ease, or just response reaction. We can be really reactive. Taking a few moments, all right, body, how's my body feeling? My mind, my breath, my heart. Okay, what do I want for lunch? And asking yourself that question, you're much more apt to make a good choice for yourself. So you might have asked yourself, how you're feeling. And then from that place, you're reaching for something healthy, or maybe you're noticing, you know what, I could really use some comfort food. And then when you're grabbing for that comfort food, you're doing it from a centered place, and that's a choice you're making rather than a reaction or a habit. So taking these moments to check in with ourselves can impact our lives in big and really small ways as well. So meditation is not one size fits all. This was one practice that we did together today, but there are many, many ways to meditate, and what works for one person might not work for another. So there's some really great guided meditations out there, both similar to the one that we did today, and then also on all kinds of different topics. There's some great apps. The Insight Timer app is my favorite because it's free and it's got really wonderful meditations on it, but there's also Calm and Headspace, which are wonderful. There are mantra and affirmation meditations where you repeat a word or an affirmation to yourself and you use those words to ground you into the present moment. You can meditate on your breath. We did that a little bit today as we checked in with our breath, just allowing the breath to be our anchor. And if you feel your mind wandering, you're able to just come back to that inhale and that exhale. And then there are even meditations out there to help you sleep. So if you have sleep difficulties, there's some really great meditations on the Insight Timer app that I mentioned that can help you drift off to sleep. Yeah, and I will definitely share the apps. Insight Timer is my favorite, but I can get those out to all of you. Oh, and I'm seeing 10% Happier app is free for nurses now. That's awesome. I think Calm and Headspace also have some free resources as well during this time. All right, so next, our third tool, mindful breathing. So let's all take a breath together. Inhale through your nose. Let it go, big sigh out your mouth. So we've been doing that breath a lot through our workshops together. We did it a lot during our experience. That is called the letting go breath, where you take a deep inhale through your nose, open your mouth, and exhale with a sigh. Let's try that together one more time. Inhale, exhale. Great. The letting go breath is a really quick, easy way to connect to your breath, and it's designed to let go of tension. So it can be done anywhere, anytime, and it only takes a few seconds. So you can kind of feel as you inhale, you can see it in your body, your shoulders go up, and then you exhale, you're letting go of that tension, even by opening your jaw. So we hold a lot of tension in our jaws. You might be either a teeth grinder or somebody that you find your jaw is clenched quite often. This breath is great because it has a built-in feature of opening your mouth, letting go of that tension in your jaw, relaxing your shoulders down with that big sigh out your mouth. And connecting to our breath actually takes us out of the fight or flight response, the sympathetic nervous system, and brings us back into rest and restore, the parasympathetic nervous system. So every time you connect back to your breath is an opportunity to take you out of that fight or flight response. Our breath is a tool that we always have with us because we're always breathing. And some scientific benefits of mindful breathing, one is that focused breathing reduces emotional intensity and increases tolerance during stressful encounters. So when we're working to build our resilience, to cultivate resilience, that's exactly what we're trying to do, is to increase our tolerance to stressful encounters. So the breath is a great tool for building resilience. So with the letting go breath, anytime you're feeling tense, if you notice your shoulders creeping up towards your ears, you're clenching your jaw, your belly is tight, any of those signs that you begin to notice in your body through your mindfulness practices that show you that you're starting to feel tense and stress, is a great time to incorporate the letting go breath. Sip of water. Everybody take a sip of water if you have it and get hydrated. Great. So that breath, anytime you feel tension in your body, shoulders, belly tightness, any of that is a great time to take a letting go breath. That just deep inhale through your nose, sigh out your mouth, and you can go right on with what you were doing. Again, transitions is a really great time to come back to this breath. Just taking a deep sigh, before you have to shift your attention to something new can be a really great practice to put into your day. And then also before stressful events. So I'm going to use the example I have been finding. I don't know if many of you are also finding this. I have been finding that when I have to go to the grocery store, it has become rather stressful for me during these times. So I am often found in my car before I head into the grocery store, taking a few of these deep letting go breaths before I head in. And I know not only does it feel really good, but it's actually taking me out of that fight or flight response that I'm feeling about that anxiety, about going grocery shopping and putting my mask on, and into that rest and restore. So I'm able to stay calm and centered as I move my way through the grocery store. So that's just one example, but any stressful event that you might find yourself in, a stressful phone call, a stressful meeting that you're about to have, a hard conversation, a great time to connect to your breath through this letting go breath. And if you're finding yourself really interested in the breath as a tool for mindfulness, there are you can really expand on this. There are some really great ways to connect to your breath. So mindfulness meditation on the breath, similar to what we did in our experience today, where you're just using your breath as the anchor to the present moment, watching your inhale, watching your exhale is an amazing way to connect to your breath and practice mindfulness meditation. You can just sit quietly and just watch yourself breathe. And pranayama, that's the yogic practice of controlling the breath. So these are ancient practices in the yoga tradition of different breath work techniques. So there's many of them. Some ones that you might recognize if you have done a yoga class before are Dirga, the 3-part breath, or alternate nostril breathing. There are some really great videos on YouTube and on even the Kripalu website. I've seen a few really great videos of how to do some of these breathwork practices, this pranayama, and it's just another thing to explore if you're feeling like you're really interested in learning more about the breath as a mindfulness tool. So the fourth tool that we experienced was intention setting. So this is when I asked you to ask yourselves what you needed today, and then you set an intention from that place. So my favorite way of setting intentions is to really focus on one word. I think it's accessible, it's easy to remember, you can always come back to it. But the most important part is to have your intention be more about what you want to feel more of, a feeling that you want to cultivate more of in your life, rather than adding another thing to your to-do list. So intentions can help you stay centered and mindful, and they can be a touchstone to come back to and again when you're feeling yourself getting pulled off center throughout your day. So I'm going to use our lunch example again, because we all need to eat lunch at some point during our day. So if you are making a decision about what you want to eat for lunch, and your intention today was calm, and you come back to that word as you're about to make this decision, you might make the choice that you know that having extra sugar and caffeine at noon is not going to help you stay calm. So rather you might reach for the water and the less sugary snack for your lunchtime. Or if your intention was strength, you want to feel strong, you might reach for a lunch option that's going to fuel your afternoon workout that day. So this example of, using our intention as we make decisions, a simple example as what you want to eat, a simple choice of what you want to eat for lunch that day, coming back to this intention is going to help you stay centered and help you align your actions with your intention. So remember, our definition of centered today was the ability to monitor thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and to manage them to match the situation and your intentions. So if you have really clearly, you know what your intention is from just this one word, you're able to stay centered and keep coming back to it as you're making decisions, or as you're feeling stress, or as you're faced with different challenges throughout your day. It gives you that touchstone to keep coming back to so you can stay centered and keep building your resilience. And the power of intention actually has the ability to literally change the shape of our brains. So this is really cool. So this is a process known as neuroplasty, which is the brain's soft and interchangeable potential, which is stimulated through repetition of a particular behavior. So our brains are made up of really highly complex circuits known as neural pathways. And neural pathways are the superhighways of nerve cells that transmit messages through our brain. And the more times an electrical message goes down these same paths, the more solid and shaped into our existence, into our brain they become. So what's really cool here is that when you think of neuroplasty, so this is the brain's ability to kind of change and adapt through patterns and behaviors. It's very similar to elasticity, which is that synonym for resilience that we're working with and talking about our definition to resilience. So not only do we as people have the ability to build our resilience and our elasticity, our brains have that same ability to build resilience and build elasticity, neuroplasticity. And in the context of intention setting, the more we repeat a positive intention or a general positive behavior, the more likely our brain is to reorganize itself to support that intention that we have. So through cultivating healthy intentions, we're actually now learning that we have the power to shape our brains in more adaptive and beneficial ways. So really, really cool. So these intentions go well beyond just kind of having that word to inspire you throughout the day. So some really great ways of incorporating intention setting into your life. You can write your word, your intention somewhere and hang it up so you can always come back to it to help remind you throughout the day. Even kind of writing it on a sticky note on your computer screen, whatever it is that you're going to be looking at, somewhere where you can see it and keep coming back to it. You can play with affirmations. So if your word was peace, your affirmation could be, I am peaceful. So if that's something that interests you, you could look into affirmations. Those are a really great way to incorporate intentions into your day. And you can set intentions every day, every week, every month. You can set them at the new year or during any time of transition. So if this is something that's resonating with you, you can really incorporate these into your life in any way that is going to support you. And another great way to support your intentions is to share them. So if you have an intention that you're working with, you can share it. I know a lot of us are really using social media to connect right now. You could share it on social media. If you're working with an intention and you're hanging it on your wall, you could hang it somewhere where your whole family can see it in your home. And if you're feeling really brave and feeling like connecting, I would invite any of you to type your word into the chat so we can share our intentions with each other. No pressure, but just if you feel like sharing. So finally, journaling. That was the fifth tool that we had an experience of today. So the journaling that we did today was we wrote your intention at the top of your page. And then you just took a few moments to write freely about this. Why did you choose the intention? How can you cultivate more of this? How can you support yourself to have more of this in your life? And one of the things, the keys that I guided you to was to just kind of let yourself flow. So if you found that your writing brought you to somewhere else, to a different topic, or you were thinking about other things, just going with it. So writing is a really great way to help us get clear about our intentions. So if we're still working with intentions, which I'm seeing some amazing intentions popping up in the chat right now, it's making me really, really happy. So if we're working with our intentions, you can journal about them. It's a really, really great way to get clear on them and to get clear about how you're actually going to have them show up in your day. And then writing is also a really great way to process feelings and emotions. And some benefits of journaling, it can help you clarify your thoughts and feelings, know yourself better, reduce stress, solve problems more effectively, and even resolve conflict. So we did one writing practice today, just kind of, it was with the flow of the practice that we all did together. And the instructions for it will be on the handout that you get later today. But there's really no wrong way to journal. And especially as a mindfulness practice, our whole intention around journaling is just to use writing as our anchor to the present moment. So my favorite way to stay inspired with journaling is to have a special pen and notebook. So there's nothing I like more than a fresh, beautiful journal and a nice pen that writes really well. So that you might find that as a great way to stay motivated to pick up a journaling practice. There's also a lot of really great different journaling practices out there. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the author Julia Cameron. She wrote The Artist's Way. She talks about morning pages, and the idea of morning pages is that it's just stream of consciousness writing. So you just, without a prompt, anything, you just write whatever's on your mind for 3 pages. And they're called morning pages, but they don't even have to be done in the morning. As long as you commit to doing those 3 pages at some point during the day, just writing your stream of consciousness. And then also gratitude journaling is a really great way to practice journaling. So a gratitude journaling practice would look like each day you're committed to writing what you're grateful for. And this can either be in list form or the stream of consciousness, whatever works for you. So I just want to pause for a moment because I am just seeing such amazing intentions in this chat. And it's just a really beautiful way to stay connected to one another and to share these intentions and to hold these intentions for one another. So thank you all for sharing those. It's warming my heart. So the last thing that we're going to do together, well, not the very last thing, before we go to our questions, we're going to take this journaling practice that we just talked about one step further and just do a little more journaling practice. So I just invite you to grab your pen and paper or whatever it is that you're writing with and reflect on the 5 tools that we're working on. I will pull up that image again. And to choose one of the 5 tools that resonated with you the most, that spoke to you the most, and just journal about some ways that you could incorporate it into your life based on what we experienced and talked about today. Or maybe you already have a practice of one of these tools, and what we talked about is inspiring you to approach it a little bit differently or to recommit yourself. So whatever it is, just picking one. It can be more than one, but one is a nice simple place to start. Picking one of these tools and just writing about how you're going to incorporate it into your life. And I'll give you just a few minutes to work on that, and then we'll shift into our question and answer period together. So as I get quiet, I don't know if you can hear my daughter singing in the background, but I know many of us are working from home and have a little just staying with that journaling for a few more moments. Again, one of those tools and how you're going to incorporate it into your life. And if you feel your mind wandering or your attention getting called away, just coming back to your writing. And if you find that your writing is taking you elsewhere, that's totally okay. Just giving yourself the space to write freely. Finishing up whatever sentence you're working on. And let's just take one deep letting go breath together. Inhale through your nose. Let it go with a big sigh out your mouth. Good. Let's do one more. Inhale and exhale. Know that you can come back to this journaling at any point. And I'm going to open it up for some questions and answers, hopefully. So if you have any questions or thoughts that you'd like to share, you can go ahead. Carrie and Deb are going to help us moderate. You can type them into the chat. You can also raise your hand. I would also love to hear, even if you don't have a question, if you want to share how you're going to work this into your life, I would love to hear that. Or if you have specific questions about incorporating one of these tools to your life, really anything that we talked about. And I'm seeing a comment from Carrie. As someone who never practiced these techniques prior to the pandemic, I have found that each time I do, I feel better. The hard part for me is making it part of my day. And I'm seeing some agreement there in the chat. So habits, routines, rituals. It is really hard to make a new habit, to work this into your day, especially we're all really busy. But I think starting small. So my really best advice there is to start really, really small. That's why we're, talking about picking one tool, even if it's just the letting go breath. You can even set a timer on your phone. So literally to remind you to breathe. And I know that that might sound silly, but we forget these things. Yeah, I'm seeing somebody that's going to put it on their calendar. So little ways like setting a timer, having other people to hold you accountable. So whether that's, somebody that that attended this session today, that you guys can check in on each other and say, hey, like, did you take some time today to move or to breathe, or with your family members to help hold you accountable can be really, really great. And what's so great about these tools, I think it can be overwhelming to think, okay, here we go. I'm going to start a yoga practice and I have to practice for an hour every single day. And I don't ever know how I'm going to fit that in. And you can build up to that. But starting small, starting with these small tools that just take a couple of minutes, and you'll see huge benefits from. So I'm just looking through some of the chat, and Carrie and Deb, feel free to jump in, but I can see the chat too. So.
Sure. So I can just share a
Great.
couple of things. So that Pat wrote, everything starts with movement. For me, I think better, pay closer attention, and I'm calmer noticeably when I start my day with movement. My intention is to increase by adding dance or no big movement every day.
This is, oh, Pat, how wonderful. I agree. For me personally, if I can do one of these 5 tools, if I only have time for one, which is usually I only have time for one, it's movement. And everybody is different, but that's the way that I have found that I feel most connected and centered after I move my body. And Pat, I love that you said dance, because I often find myself drifting away from dance, and there is nothing like putting a song on and having a dance party in your living room to help you get centered and to shift your mood. So thank you for mentioning that, because I didn't have that in our movement section, but dancing is an amazing way to incorporate movement into your day. So I hope you can stay with that intention.
So Jenna, I think here's one that I know I struggle with too.
Yep.
I find that when I set an intention for the day, like exercise, I tend to put other priorities first, and feel disappointed at the end of the day that I didn't, but I just lost it.
Yeah.
Didn't
Oh
give
yeah. Yeah. I think I
myself
saw that you didn't give yourself that time. That's a really great point. So a couple things here. One, part of why I really like those one-word intentions, and it's more about how you want to feel than setting a goal for yourself to exercise. Because oftentimes, because of our lives, we can't always achieve the goals that we set for ourselves, and we can't always check off everything on your to-do list. So if you think about what it is about the exercise, what feeling that you're trying to get from the exercise that you want more of in your life, and you could maybe make that your intention. So if you're, maybe your intention is move, you just want to move, like you want to get that movement into your day, but that gives you the space to say, like, I didn't get to do this full exercise routine, or, you know, my normal weightlifting or this or that, but I got out and I went for that 5-minute walk around the block and I felt so much better. And, you know, like really being able to identify that. Or maybe your intention around exercise is because you want to feel more calm or more energy. And so coming back to the reason, your why for doing it, can be really helpful, rather than setting yourself up for a place just to kind of come down on yourself again, if that makes sense. But yeah, these things, it's so interesting because I'm seeing such a theme here of people saying that it's so hard to make space for this stuff. It's so hard to make time for this stuff. And one thing I will add is that as you start to incorporate these tools into your daily life, I think, and I have found, and I think you will find, you actually are more productive. So if you give yourself 5 minutes to get grounded before you start your workday, you're going to actually fit more in because you're already grounded, you're centered, you're calm, you're not distracted, your focus isn't all over the place. Same thing with working out. So I'll share this. Yesterday I had a meeting in the morning, and I literally did a 10-minute like little mini yoga practice on my mat, and then hopped on the meeting right when I finished. And I could have just like sat down on my computer and like checked the clock and waited for the meeting to start, but I squeezed it in, and I was so much more present for that meeting. And I got to go throughout the rest of my day saying, you know what, I got that 10 minutes in, that's it for the day. I don't have time for anything else, but I know I squeezed that 10 minutes in today, and I feel so much better because I got my commitment to myself in.
Janelle, I read that mindful breathing with movement actually helps with pain. That's from Magdalia, and also can help with the patients that this person works with these techniques.
Yes. Yeah, so that's one thing too. We talked mostly about your own personal practices and tools and resilience today. But these tools can be shared, and they are accessible for a reason. And I know most of the people here are, you know, frontline providers, service providers in human services. So these tools can be shared, and they have amazing benefits for everyone that does them. So
I'll just share that yesterday I was having a stressful moment and was emailing Janelle, and she emailed me back to do a let go breath.
I did. Yes, just that one breath. How did it feel, Carrie? Did you do it?
It felt really good.
Yeah, so a lot about maintaining the habit.
If somebody's writing, really thinking about the finest details of how you will get this incorporated, and thinking about both positive outcomes of doing it and negative outcomes for not, will help with mental contrasting and intention implementation.
Yes, definitely. I'm reading too. I never pay attention to how I was breathing, and after doing the letting go breath, I actually noticed a difference. It was like a lift off my shoulders. It's the shift that we can feel with these small practices. They're so small, and they have such huge outcomes, can have such huge outcomes. And especially with the breath, if the breath is something that you're feeling called to explore more, or even just practicing that letting go breath, it can have such a big impact just from connecting to your breath. It's a tool that you always have with you. You can come back to it again and again and again. So I'm aware of the time, and we have 1 more minute, so I just want to take that moment to close together. So finding a comfortable seat, feeling your feet on the floor. You can close your eyes or gaze gently down at the floor in front of you. And just notice how you're feeling now after giving yourself the space and time to explore these different tools, to practice them, to talk about them, to think about them, to write about them. Come back to your intention. And come back to the journaling that you did about how you're going to incorporate that one tool into your life. And know that these tools that you learned today are something you can come back to again and again and again. Small shifts can have huge ripples. And just bringing your attention into the forefront of your mind. You're going to take a deep letting go breath. Breathe that intention in. Exhale, let it go out into the world, the big sigh. Gently open your eyes. Thank you everyone so much for being here today and for attending our AFC Summit. We will be sending out handout with really brief accessible instructions for each of the 5 tools that we practiced today. And stay tuned because we are also exploring how to bring our wellness breaks out beyond our Nanotech, our immediate Nanotech community out to the larger Nanotech and AFC community. So thank you so much everybody for being here. Take care.
Thank you, Janelle, for participating in the AFC Summit webinar series. I think this is what so many people needed today. To our participants, please keep an eye out on our AFC Summit Facebook page for any updates on continued pop-up sessions hosted by Janelle Robinson. We'll also share as part of the email containing the evaluation this afternoon, any apps and resources discussed today as well. And we hope to see many of you back tomorrow for our webinar, Supporting Intimacy and Sexuality. Thank you all. Thank you, Janelle.
Thank you.